Well, after about 70,000 miles, I got my first curb rash here, and I'm going to fix it pretty quick. Pretty simple, and for about $12. Now I'm feeling here to see exactly where I need to sand. Just be careful with your hands, as this metal can get sharp. Now I'm using a 100 grit to start with. That's going to break down most of the heavy stuff, and then a 400 to finish up with to smooth it down. Now you can continue on sanding with the 400 here to smooth it down even further. As you'll see in my finished product, there's still a little bit of marks, but it's a lot better than it was. Now the sanding process should be pretty easy. Depending on how deep your gouges are, this should not affect your balance on your tire at all. I chose to do it with a single spray and no primer in between, but if you want to put a primer on there to fill in those gaps, sand it again, feel free. Now each time I go through and sand, I go and feel it with a rag to see if there's any snags, and then I go back with a finger to get a good fine feel here to make sure all the gouges are gone. Going through with the 400 is going to smooth this down even further, and it's going to give the paint a nice smoother finish. As I was mentioning, you can continue on with this here and even add a primer into it and resand it. The surface is probably about ready for my liking right here. I don't feel any jagged edges. There are going to be some slight gouging when I paint. I just want to get rid of that white ashiness and some of the black that is showing through from the multiple layer of paint on these wheels. Now, if you have rubbing alcohol laying around, you can use that, or find a product called Prepsol or denatured alcohol just to clean and prep the surface. Wipe it down with a clean rag, make sure any contaminants aren't on there, and all the dust from sanding is gone, and you should be good. Now, the kids are probably going to hate me for this, but I found some cards that we had laying around, and I wanted to use these just to mask it off. You can use tape, but this really works well, and it fits right in the groove of the rim there. Now, I did call around, and as much as I'd like to help someone have business, they wanted to charge about $150 per rim to fix this. Now, once that's done, I kind of sloppily just covered the rotor here, just make sure no crazy overspray gets in on the first coat here. And I sprayed right at the top there, just back and forth, giving it just a light dusting to start. If you notice fish eyes with this spray can, then your surface is not clean. Repeat the previous step with the alcohol. I'm going to put 2 total coats on this, and that should give it a nice finish there. And then just seal off the edge. I go in here and just hit the edge of the wheel one last time, and that should be that. Once it dries, just remove everything, pull it on out, and you'll see that everything looks clean. And if you notice a little bit of overspray like you see right by the E there, just wipe it down with some alcohol on the tire, and that should be that. If you do want to do this a little bit cleaner and mask off the whole wheel, you can do that. If you do get overspray on the rest of the rim there, wipe it down with microfiber cloth, and it should remove any light dusting of overspray that you have there. You'll hear the difference in the cloth when the paint comes off. I put a link in the description for all the paint and supplies that you might need to do this, but as you see here, the finished product doesn't look that bad. If you want to get those little marks out, you can sand a little bit more and do a primer.